Welcome back to the channel, guys. We got ourselves a Bauer benchtop planer. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this here benchtop planer out and check it out, do a overview on it, and then do a demo on it, just like I usually do on some tool videos. If you're interested in any of them, I got a few videos on a few of them. You can check them out. Anybody that watches my channel knows I'm a huge fan of Bauer because they are, for the money, the quality of them, to me, in my opinion, for somebody who's a big do-it-yourself, like anything I can do myself and not have to pay to do it, I will. I try to learn, do all kind of stuff. So Bauer, to me, is good for quality for the money. Sure, it's not the top of the line, but it's not just cheap junk. I mean, it's good. If everything that I've had anyway has been good. We're gonna get this out real quick. So when you open the box, this is what it looks like. Obviously, you got your paperwork here. And that's important in case you need to know how to service it, what type of size tools or whatever it may need, type of blades, etc. This is gonna be the handle to put on it. And styrofoam, of course. So that's it. Let me get it pulled out of here. Here's the model number right there, as you can see. Got it from Harbor Freight. It's a 15 amp. Tells you right there, 9,400 RPM. It does 12.5 inches wide, and it also goes to 6 inches thick in height. These are the carry handles here on each side. 64 pounds. So, you know, if you're a lighter person, or, you know, maybe a chick, no offense to any ladies out there, I know a lot of y'all are strong, but any chick that likes to do woodworking that's, you know, smaller in stature, and, you know, you got to bring your big boy pants, you know, put your big boy pants on to lift it around. You know, you got your tables here that, your run out table, flip out. Let's go through some of the stuff in here. So I just noticed there's a few other specs on the other side of this box. I already said the amperage. Turns 9,400 RPMs. It does 67 cuts per minute. The max depth cut, so obviously you wouldn't want to adjust it down more than 3/32 at a time. That's the 6 inches. 18,800 cuts per minute. Yeah, that's a lot. 67 cuts per inch. I don't know why I said. Anyway, so the voltage I lied at 64.5 pounds. So anyway, it's got 2 magnetic key knife removal tools and a hex like Allen key. And this just tells you kind of where all your knob, which I'm going to go through some of that, and your rollers. So anyway, the run out tables give you 31 inches of material support. So it comes with these, in that bag I just pulled out, it comes with these 2 little bolts here. So the knob, adjustment knob that comes with it, does not have any kind of bolt that holds it on. There's 2 little bolts that are going to hold this on. I'll go over that in a second. Just going to see how we put this in there. So it's got a flat spot on one side. This also has a flat spot. So we're just going to pop it down, as you can see on there. It goes like that. I'm guessing that's just for easy. You know, you take it on and off if you want to. So obviously, right, tight, left, loosey. So right goes up, left goes down. I guess it could be different. It also gives you air. I'll go over some of that in a second. Let me raise it up a little bit, because we got some styrofoam under here I need to get out. So if you look on the back side here, these is where those 2 bolts, Allen head bolts, go through. This is for your dust collection. You put it on. Obviously, one hole goes there, and one goes there. Put the bolts in, and it comes with a little Allen key tool right here. You can get this out of the way. So I'm going to put that on there real quick. So this will go on. It'll go on there either way. You know, flip whichever side you want to. This is an adapter for, you know, if you want whatever. Hold on, I have to loosen. Anyway, you loosen that up, and it'll go on there. And you can use a bigger dust collection, a vacuum hose, but I'm going to leave that off for now. I'm probably not going to use it. Or actually, honestly, I won't ever be using a vacuum for dust collection. It'll just be out, you know. In the shop, it's good, sure, but I'll be out. And if I am inside, I'll use the vacuum. But if I'm out working on something, I can just set it outside, run the extension cord out there, and just blow the dust out into the yard. Here, it comes with magnets. to take your blade, and it gives you instruction there. This is where your tool storage is. It shows you a diagram of your cutting head, which I'm guessing this is also the same size as these that hold the blades on. So there it tells you to obviously turn it off, loosen the hex screws on the dust chute, remove the screws, take this back off, rotate the cutter head towards you until it locks into place, remove 6 hex screws, lift it off with magnets. So that's what these magnets are for. You just put it on there to lift them off when you change the blade, which I'm not changing the blade because they're brand new, so I'm not going to go through that, but I may go do another video later on how to change the blades, you know, once the blades get dull and I need to change them. So I'll just go over the instructions now. Lift blade off with magnets, rotate or placing holes over tabs on cutter head is what it says. Screw, tighten screws, replace and tighten screws. Push cutter head, release switch forward to allow rotation to the second blade. Repeat steps 4 to 8. Replace blade guard and 2 hex screws. Tighten the dust chute back down. So there you go. Like I said, I may do a video later on that, but I'm not going to go over it right now. So it has rollers on top. If you want to lay a board on there, roll it back to refeed the other side or whatever. I didn't mention when I was talking about the blades, this is a double-sided blades. So, you know, if they get dull, flip them around, use the other side again, and then you can replace the blades the next time. So this here is the switch. You know, flip it up to turn it on, flip it down and turn it off. This yellow switch is a safety switch, so if you pull it out and you flip it up, it won't come on. It has to have the safety switch in there to work. So circuit breaker, press in to reset. That's like a ground fault circuit interrupter kind of, I'm guessing. It's like GFCI on a plug or whatever. You press it to reset it. It's for, I guess, if it trips. So this here's your thickness gauge. So obviously it tells you lower and raise. So 1 full turn is 1/16. So and you look here, it tells you 1/32, 3/64, and a full turn is a 16th. So anyway, so right there, 3/64, 1/32, and then I can't see the other one because whatever. And then 1/16, and it says, like I said a while ago, a 3/32 max. I think it said, yeah, 3/32 max cut. So you would only do 1.5 turns max each time. Personally, I probably only do it 1 full turn or half turn each time, whatever. Well, I guess it depends on how much you need to take off too, if you only need to take off a little bit. But if you're trying to take off a lot at one time, 1.5 turns would be the max. You would turn it at one time. Anyway, it says lift with carry handles only. Do not lift with rollers, I guess, because you might mess something up. So your gauge here, other than it tells you how much there, you have your gauge here. Some of them have, you know, a gauge when you put the wood in there, it tells you kind of the thickness of the wood, but this one doesn't. But this one here, I mean, you can go off of it, I guess, technically raise it, lower it down, you know, however far, which that's mainly for, I guess, it's not super precise, but it'll get you pretty close in the ballpark. These are inches, obviously, and then you have 16ths and 8ths and whatever. You got all that on there for your bigger measurements. And then up here, it has your smaller ones by turns, so you're good there. The reason I picked this Bauer, so like I said before, other than the fact that I just like Bauer, usually when I'm looking for, I need a tool, the first thing I'll search is Bauer, whatever, Bauer jigsaw, Bauer, you know, impact, Bauer, whatever, planer, miter saw, and see what they got, if they make one. If they make one, you know, that's usually what I go with. If they don't, then okay. I almost didn't buy this one. I almost went with the Wind of the WEN, that's the orange one, because they are super similar in the way they're made. The switch here is even identical, kind of, if you're just looking at it. I'm guessing either they use some of the same parts from manufacturers or whatever. I almost went with it because it was a little cheaper, but I went with the Bauer because they had a deal. They had a sale going on, and they knocked some prices off. I paid $318 tax and all. It was like $299, and it's usually $369. So I said, no, $369, I'm not paying it. Well, they had a deal on that. It's like $77 or $80 off anyway. So it was $299 when I bought it, and the Wind was $286 or $285, whatever, for the same size. So I spent just the $10 or $15 extra, because they're both gonna have tax anyway. But I spent just a little bit of extra It's 13, so it's $13 difference. So $13 difference on it just to get the Bauer, because I know I have experience with that brand, I'll put it that way. So other than, I mean, I gave you some details about the blades. Obviously it tells you feed directions, so you know, the side you turn it on, you feed the wood in. These, I pressed them down because they're kind of peeling a little bit. You know, you feed it the side that you turn it on. Oh, I forgot to mention these rails here, it's already got up. They got a little bit of lubrication on them already, which is good because my in-law, father-in-law has one, I think it's a D-Walk, and these are like rusted up, and it actually broke where you let it up, it busted it, something in there, and it wouldn't go up. So it's a good idea to keep these lubricated, whether it just be with a little bit of oil of some type, maybe, you know, some gun oil or whatever type, even if you use WD-40, whatever type of lube you want to use. So it tells you all kind of stuff. I'm gonna look and see if it tells you what kind of oil to put in there. It even tells you here like extension cord, what length and what length not to use, and how much amperage at certain lengths or whatever it pulls. It tells you here about your leveling your in feed and out feed. So it has right here, it has screws, adjustment screws, let it up and down. So you can kind of adjust. You want this flat because if it's not, it can cause some snipe. Here, it just kind of gives you a diagram of, you know, doing the blades. Here's what I was talking about, the lubrication, cleaning, maintenance, and lubrication. Lubricate with a light coating of multi-purpose grease, which this here just has an oily feel to it, if you can see. So that's probably what I would do, because grease probably stick, wood shaving stick to it worse. But also the chain. So your roller chains, remove left side cover, use chain cleaner, and then chain lubricant for the chain. I'm guessing take, you know, these off, pull this off, and do your chain, because when you turn this, I'm assuming it pulls it up and down my chain. So there's that. It gives you some troubleshooting stuff here. So your workpiece, like deeper cut and end of the board, or snipe they call it. Possible cause too little support of long boards. Uneven force on cutter head. Likely solutions, provide better support for long boards. Level tables according to page 8. So that's what it's talking about, the level here. Make sure they're leveled out, so you got a good level flat surface feeding the board in, so you don't get sniped. And also so that, like, if you're using a long board as it goes through and it doesn't bow down and put pressure on the board farther up as it exits. I know it's getting blurry, but anyway, as the board goes out and exits, the back end picks up against the blades and gets some snipe. So if this is flat, it'll be level, and if the board doesn't dip off, it'll keep the snipe. And then, so it gives you some other possible causes here for the planer itself. So it gives you a lot of good stuff. And assembly diagram, it even gives you a diagram here. A lot of people don't care about the manual, man. They'll take they'll open a box up and immediately they see the paper manual, oh, throw it out, you don't need that. But it's good stuff, man. It tells you some part numbers, and like I said here, diagram of the whole thing. That's a lot of parts. So, I mean, there you go. Don't throw away the manual. But I've went over every basic function, you know, putting that on, putting dust cover, all the basic specifications of it, blah, blah, blah. But there it is. Excuse all the junk back there in the background. We got all kinds of crap. That's it. So now it'll be for the demo. Oh, also I forgot to mention, it's got bolt mounting holes in each corner of it, so you can mount it to a table. But we'll get on to the demo. I'm gonna go set this up. We're gonna be cutting with it. I'll show you that in a second, but it's some 1x4 rough cut. We got some rough cut from a guy who has a little sawmill here. Some other ones I got, it's thicker on one end and thinner on the other end. And even a few boards or some different wood I had from him was kind of tapered on one end. And, you know, I don't know if his blade on his mill was loose or what, but just cut different thicknesses. And some boards is, you know, the same thickness all the way down, but other boards is even thicker or thinner, I guess, where he didn't have it adjusted just right. But we're going to be planing them all down. You put it in and it planes the top, and then you flip it over and do the other side. So this is what I'm planing down. Some rough cut 1x's. That's my coil pile. That's my maybe pile. Anyway, this pile and that pile is the one I'm going to use the best boards. That's just some extras in case I need them. These are not getting used anyway. They're anywhere between 7/8 to an inch ish. There's a couple that's a little smaller than 7/8, closer to 3/4. But I'm gonna aim for like 13th, 16th of an inch. I know that's oddly specific, but just based on how much is taken off of each of these. I did one. I'm about to do a little more off of it, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So one other thing I didn't pay attention to, this little cap comes off. When this slides down on here, you tighten it down, and it doesn't have any play in the, if you see, as you move it, because it did have a little play in it, but then I realized there's a screw in there. It doesn't have to be exact, as long as it's between, you know, 3/4 and that 7/8 range. They'll all be close enough I can use, because I'm doing the 10 sealing like that, basically 7/8. So I'm gonna go with 16th down. So I do a little bit on one side, flip it and do the other side. And that's what I was talking about here. So if I go all the way around, I'm already right here. This goes down. And if I drop it here, that's only half a turn. So if I do one whole turn, that's a 16th based on where it was already at. So what I'm gonna do is I'm starting it through, and I'm gonna go around the other side and walk it out. Walk it out, walk it out, now walk it out, walk it out, walk it. The back, bring it back around, flip it over. Then once I get all of them done, I'll go back and do some demos on some 2x4s, 2x6, or some, you know, some thicker stuff and different thicknesses. And I'll just get some, you know, just to get kind of some different stuff to show you how it works. It works so far. This first board has worked great. So I'm gonna do a few of these just to demonstrate on these with some long board. These are 16 foot long. Demonstrate on that, and then I'll show you some other stuff. Okay, so I measured this one. It's right at 13th, 16th. It's pretty smooth. But I'm gonna play around with it, do a couple more, do small amounts, couple runs of small amounts, do some bigger ones, keep the shavings out, just kind of do the different combinations, and I'll let you know exactly what works the best as far as taking it down. Obviously, you could take, you don't want to go too far past the maximum. You can take down a certain amount, and then for the last one, take down a small amount, and it'd be nice and smooth. If you want like smooth wood, like really smooth, which I guess you would sand it anyway if you was doing something with it, you wanted it really smooth, but it was pretty close to felt like you sanded it the first time. We just take a little off. Anyway, I'll shut up rambling on. So far it's working great just for this first board. So I've done about, I got 28 of these 1x. They were rough cut. And as you can see, it's got a good surface on it. A lot smoother than you would buy from the lumber yard already planed. So I've done about 28 16 foot of these. So what I'm about to do now, I'm going to plane just some scrap pieces I got just for some other demonstration purposes. I have some 2x8, I think that's treated. Yeah, and then 2x10, 2x4, and then rough cut 1x cedar. I'm gonna plane all of these down. That does took to 12.5 inch. I'd like to test that, but the 2x10 should be fine. So we're gonna test it out and see how it does. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start with the 1x, I'm gonna go 2x4, 2x8, 2x10, do the last one. Yeah, I'm gonna move my camera around and show it going through both sides. So I run into my first hiccup here, and I think it's because of the rollers. Obviously, if you notice, it wasn't feeding through properly, and I think it's because the rollers need cleaning. So there's the rollers there, and you can see they're pretty dirty. So they're just rubber, and obviously you need to clean them every so often. That's just a maintenance thing, right? But until I looked it up, I didn't know that. But pine, if you do a lot of pine leaves more resin on there, and it just builds up quicker. You have to do cleanings more often doing a lot of pine than you would if you did hardwood or some other softwood. So after the amount of pine I've been doing, you know, it's not, I mean, it's pretty logical to think, well, you know, that's probably why the rollers is not feeding quite, because the rollers ain't gripping it, because they have all that resin and stuff on it. So I'm gonna clean that up real quick. I got a rag and some just rubbing alcohol. You know, they're rubber, so you don't want to use something too harsh. This seems to be pretty good. I skimmed over the manual. I didn't see anything about what to clean it with or even about cleaning it at all, but I know you have to clean them. So this just seems to be, you know, what a lot of people use, and I'm sure you could probably use some Windex just to rub on there because it evaporates quickly. But we're gonna wet this rag down and rub them off. And really, you're supposed to wax. You know, they say waxing this too helps. Just helps the wood slide better, so the rollers don't have to do so much work. If you look at the rollers now, if you can see them, I don't know if you can see them good. They're a lot cleaner, and just touching it, you can tell it's a lot grippier now than it was. So I think that's gonna do the trick. Let's get back to these boards where the rollers were slipping before I cleaned them. So we're gonna see how that does now. I may start, I'm gonna start with this decking board, and then I go up to the 2x. So you can see how uneven the surface this was before, right? So that did the trick, the cleaning the rollers. So I mean, you can see how much, if you look, you can see how much sawdust I got out here from planing. Like I said, 28 boards, both sides, multiple times, rough cut. You can see how much sawdust I got, and then kick it around. Like you can see it buries my foot. So that's a lot of sawdust. I've been doing a lot of planing with it, right? No surprise I had resin buildup on the rollers, but that fixed it. So if you're having that issue early on, even if you think, man, I just got it, that's probably the issue. Clean them first, and you should be good to go as long as they're spinning. So anyway, let's run this through a few more times and move on to these. So another thing I've noticed, unless you're running dust collection with vacuum on here, you don't really need it. Like if you're just throwing it out, I've been using it, but it kind of sometimes gets clogged up, and you take it off, clean it out, but it won't get clogged up if you don't use it. So I've taken that off just for that purpose, because I'm outside, you know what I mean? I'm not in the shop. So another thing about without the dust collection on there, you can fold it up, store it better. So after using it without dust collection, I prefer that way. I mean, cause I'm outside, you know, I can just rake it up in a pile, do whatever with it. But the shavings are bigger, right? It just slings it all out this way. You have less coming back out this way. The shavings are bigger because instead of coming back through and getting hit again by the blade and chopped up finer, it just shoots it out the back. I actually prefer it without it, unless you're in a shop and you need to collect the dust. You know, that's what I would do, but everybody's the same. I've been using it to keep it all kind of in one area, but I mean, after it throws it out on this board, I just rake it off right here. So it, you know, whatever. You can run it in different ways. I didn't do it this way, right? I didn't stand it up this way and run it through, although you can. It's just once you get so wide, it has a chance to tip over, right? So I guess I'll just jump right into my final thoughts. I noticed one thing about it: if you try to take the maximum off, you know, it cuts a little rougher, especially if you still have some sawdust kind of flying around clogging in there. But if you just take, like what I said, half increments off, it does fine, nice and smooth, no problem whatsoever, right? And plus it keeps the blade speed up. It doesn't bog down at all doing that. Like you heard it bog a little more and trying to take more off, but like this, super smooth, taking a little bit off at a time. So if you got something thick, you want to get down to a certain thickness. If you got a table saw, rip it with a table saw first. That way you don't have to do so much on the planer. That would be my advice. Like if you're cutting, say, like a 4x4 post or 4x6 post, trying to do something, just rip it down with a table saw and then plane it. But so that's what I plan on doing with this. A lot of just take some old scrap wood somewhere, cut plane to certain sizes, and build just some certain stuff with it. Y'all see how much I've been planing. I've done a pretty good initial amount of planing with this being new. I mean, it's probably been like a full day's worth of, like a full work day's worth of planing. This I just have to measure the boards first to see exactly where I want to start at. And then I go from here. So initially, man, it did everything I've expected it to do. When I was doing the 16-foot boards, like I was talking about the 28 of those, the only issue I had, which was the feeding, and it wasn't because it was dirty, it was because the thickness on one end of the board was way thicker than the other. And I started on this end, was doing fine, planing halfway down, and then I got to the middle and it started not wanting to pull. Couldn't find out it was over the maximum thickness on that end to be planing, right? So I just let it up a little bit, let it go on through, flipped it around and planed that all down until it got even, and then planed the whole thing. That's the only deal there. That's, you know, no problem. So then you saw the issue here with the not wanting to feed. Well, obviously it was the rollers. You know, with pine, you have to clean after this amount of planing, you're gonna have to clean the rollers. No big deal. Wipe it down. You have to do it in thirds, right? A third, flip it on and off real quick, let it spin a little bit. A third, do the same thing, do the other third, right? Get it clean. And here, everything comes pretty darn close set up. This is very accurate, and I tested it with a tape measure, and this is a Walmart brand, but it's very accurate. It's from what I've been using. This is pretty accurate, right? I mean, almost dead on. I'm probably really dead on. This here, you can adjust. You have micro adjustments here, and it's pretty daggone close too. It's slightly off, but it's really close. Two things I would say I would do better, just from me using it. I think the engineers maybe should do. Maybe make it a gauge in there. As some brands, you put the board in there and it gauges, tells you how thick the board is just by sticking it in before you feed it through. So you could put it in, see what thickness it is, set it by that, run it through without having to use your tape measure. Tape measure, it's no big deal. It's just, you know, that would be nice. And the other thing is, a lot of dust builds up in these sides over here. And of course, you need to be able to get to the rails. But if they could build which I should have said that when this was up, but if they would make some kind of plastic, like polymer, just dam kind of that snaps in over there, just to keep most of the sawdust from just building up over here. That way it would stay clean. That would be nice too. But you know, that's just an added feature. That would be an added feature. But man, I have no complaints. I mean, Obviously I haven't been using this for like 2 or 3 years now and doing, you know, a really extensive review after that. And I may end up doing a follow-up review after, you know, a couple of years of use. But if you're wanting a benchtop planer for cheap, it's not, you know, you're not wanting to pay for the big name brand, you know, DeWalt or like some Milwaukee stuff. I mean, Bauer has never disappointed me. I'm not just a fanboy, just a, you know, biased. Like, I'm only biased because everything I've used from them has worked. And it may not be the Milwaukee of this, you know, certain category, whatever tool you're using, or the DeWalt, whatever, but for the money, what you spend on this, you can't beat the quality, in my opinion. Like, everybody has opinions. They're like a-holes, right? There you go. So I recommend it. If you can get it on sale, I give it a thumbs up. Y'all can see the video, y'all see the work I've done with it, y'all just saw it go through. Man, I actually like it a lot. I guess I'm gonna shut up here and hope y'all enjoyed this video.